value for our personal data. Okay, and as I said, there is a bunch of the next slide. There is a special category of companies called data brokers. These people collect data, they buy data, they crawl the internet for information, right? Even they use illegal methods as well, aggregate the data and provide very insights. And it's a $200 billion industry, right? So that's a very thriving industry, and it's still growing. Next slide. So these people actually identify, they profile people, profile consumers, and they collect thousands of data points based on all these characteristics, all these attributes like age, gender, political views, number of kids people have, what kind of purchases you did, right? Your media usage, your financial data, including your loans, your liabilities, your assets, one of them, vehicles owned, property owned, right? And also our details, very personal details like our religion, our health indicators, right? And all the habits based on which they can actually make an insight and could be used for insurance. For example, I'm just giving an example. Based on our habits, driving habits, based on our income, right? Based on accident history, and all these things, they can actually map out whether the person is a safe driver or not. Depending on that, the insurance company can actually hike the insurance premium rate and give personalized product like that, right? So all these things are very, it's very much happening today. Again, this is the ecosystem of the entire data brokers world, this particular industry. So how they collect data from telecom companies, telecom devices, service providers, financial services, public sector, retail industry, media and publishing, so on and so forth. And all these data they collect and they use it for targeted advertising. Yeah. Have you ever, in a personal checking, you think yourself, today you want to go buy a scooter or a two-wheeler or a four-wheeler, you go to say a Honda showroom and ask for a quote, price quote. Even when you step in and you want to engage with a salesperson, first thing they will ask you is your personal details. Mandatorily, they'll ask for your name, your phone number, your email ID, and your city. And after that, only after recording those details in a sheet, then only they will start talking to you. And you go to a Honda showroom looking for a sedan, the very next day you will be getting calls from rival companies offering you, how is this possible? They all sell data. I'm just taking a name of Honda, it's nothing against Honda. They all sell data. Sometimes the one thing is at a very personal level, all the salespeople are well connected. Doesn't matter which brand they work for. Okay, and at a corporate level, it could be the same dealership actually owning different brands, right? I mean, a dealership for different brands. So we have seen companies having brands, having the dealership for different brands. And they know for sure the potential customer is in the market for a sedan vehicle. The budget is around 15 lakhs, or is looking for a SUV. Budget is around 15 lakhs. And it is not that we buy like Americans every 2 years, we change cars. We buy cars once in 5 years or more, right? So that money, 15 lakhs, somehow it has to come to any of the brands that they own as a dealer, right? So they'll definitely make every effort to engage with the potential customer. Okay, you don't like this brand, I'll give you a choice of this brand. So that's how the market actually works. If you observe closely, you know how much personal data is being traded around. Okay, next slide, please. This is the ecosystem I was talking about. You see all these companies, some of them are prominent like Google. others are not. Thing is, all these companies are actually part of the digital advertisement ecosystem, and they provide specialized services based on various parameters. They extensively use technology tools and bring value to their customers, and that's a way the digital ads like banner ads and website ads, all of them work actually. Okay, next slide. Okay, just to say that how critical is privacy for all the other aspects. If data privacy is not there, then everything else collapses. Simple as that. It just gives the importance. Yeah. Okay, coming to the regulations and privacy, the global landscape is actually getting much hotter and much evolved than what it was a few years back. It all started with formalizing the GDPR. GDPR kicked in the EU region in May 25th, 2018, and from then on there has been a bunch of regulations that have been put in place in different parts of the world. So you have LGBT in Brazil, you have CCPA in California. As I said earlier, US has a bunch of regulations, in each of its states. So it's very complex there. Then you have PIPEDA in Canada. Of course, China has got a very stringent privacy law. India is still, we are working on the personal data protection bill, and the scenario is going to get more tighter in terms of how businesses can handle consumer data. So this slide is again from the UN CTAD, which talks about the entire global footprint of the privacy legislations. So what is important is out of the key highlights, 128 out of 194 countries have put in place legislation for data privacy. Every effort to engage with the potential customer. Okay, you don't like this brand, I'll give you a choice of this brand. So and all of them are about empowering the consumers so that they have complete control over data. But a lot of things fall between the cracks in terms of implementation. Some laws are very stringent. They have levied record fines. I think I can show one of the slides in the coming few minutes how fines have become more bigger. So this is this slide talks about GDPR and its salient features. So they talk about breach notification within 72 hours. Fines are around 4% of turnover, right? Up to 4% of turnover, or 20 million euros, right? And the territorial scope has actually expanded, and privacy by design has become a way of life. In fact, I remember before GDPR came into force in May 25th, 2018, there was a mad scramble among many organizations to make their applications compliant, right? Like incorporating a privacy notice, a privacy policy, incorporating consent in the apps, right? So all of that. And consent is important. Then right to be forgotten. You don't want to be disturbed again. You can ask the company to actually delete the personal data they may be having, right? So you can even port your data. You want to change from one service provider like a telecom service provider, you can do that. And also it mandates for appointing data protection officers who will be the spark for any data protection related query with the authority, data protection authority, right? So Schrems was actually a major judgment in 2020 last year, primarily around the data transfer between US and Europe. Earlier, we had a law called Privacy Shield that was supposed to take care of the adequacy, but it actually was invalidated or made invalid because of the judgment. And then the key thing is next slide, please. the key thing is the adequacy decision is actually a term, that's used for referring whether the other party, other third country has adequate controls for data privacy or data protection. The European Commission actually looks after this, whether the third country or an organization offers required level of data protection or anything that is equivalent to what is in place at the EU. So GDPR, they actually use GDPR as the benchmark. So for any cross-border transfer, data transfer, and adequacy legislation is important so that onward transfer can happen, right? And Article 45 also talks about the same, right? It sets out rules for assessing adequacy. Unfortunately, India, since we do not have a law yet, equivalent or fulfilling GDPR yet, still it is in the bill form. We do not qualify. We are not part of that adequacy decision. Yeah. Next slide. So there are legal basis for international transfer of personal data under GDPR because for any data processing, any value-added services like data analytics, definitely organizations in the EU would want to transfer data to their own group companies, subsidiary companies, or third-party vendors spread outside EU, right? So adequacy decision is mandatory, and they look for it. Doesn't mean that if adequacy decision is not fulfilled, doesn't mean that they will stop, but they will ask for additional controls, additional safeguards like the standard contract clauses, right? And they have to also, have a binding corporate rules, and this is for intra-group transfers, and this has to be approved by the respective supervisory authority. In terms of, in the UK, it is the ICO, right? Yeah, Information Commissioner's Office. Okay, so coming to Indian Personal Data Protection Bill, this genesis came from the nine-bench Supreme Court, nine-judge bench of the Honorable Supreme Court. There was a very landmark case on Puttaswamy. So that case judgments recognized the privacy as a fundamental right of Indian citizens, right? It was a game changer. Nobody ever looked at it that way. And it also said that the information privacy or personal data privacy is a facet of the right to privacy. So that is the genesis behind this. Then they formed a panel headed by retired Justice B.N. Sri Krishna. Next slide. And then they set about drafting the personal data protection bill. So in 2018, the first draft was ready. It was submitted, and Ministry of Electronics and IT, Information Technology, what we call as MIT, they put it up for public comments from different stakeholders. And then it was cleared in 2019 by the Union Cabinet. Then thereafter, a lot of objections came. Then the Cabinet recommended it for a JPC, Joint Parliamentary Committee. The next slide. So the JPC deliberated for 2 years, and then they came out with a set of recommendations that was adopted as a report just 3-4 days back, I think on 22nd or 23rd of this month. And then that already has a lot of criticisms, right? So on the whole, this particular bill is actually, though it is mirroring a lot of clauses from the GDPR, in some ways it is better in the original draft, but now many clauses have been diluted. I'll come to that in the next slide. Yeah, the next slide. So what happens is the government is very much worried about how the personal data or any sensitive data, confidential data that would actually jeopardize national security. So that's something they don't want to disclose, right? So they are keeping all those things outside of the purview of this act. That's a big criticism, right? And in the all other data they are classifying as three types of data, right? Your sensitive personal data, critical data, right? And these have to be protected by the organizations which is collecting, and it is empowering the consumers. The next slide. So the main problem today, bone of contention is the government is viewing the social media platforms as publishers, even though they are only intermediary, right? So what I post in social media, I'm as an individual, I'm posting, but government is viewing the social media platforms as publishers. That has huge ramifications, right? And some of the new norms are pretty strict in terms of reporting any breach notification within 72 hours. And the government also reserves right to come and do an audit on the way the data protection measures are in place. And you need to have a fairness of algorithm or method used for processing personal data. In fact, if you look at certain websites, when you try to download any white paper or any PDF file, they'll force you to click a checkbox saying, I agree to receive any promotion material, marketing material from time to time. Only when you click the checkbox, then in fact the download button would be activated or submit button will be activated. That's not a fair way, right? You are forced to, and that doesn't give us a choice to opt out also. So all that anomalies will be addressed once this kicks in. And you need to have a data protection officer in each of these companies. So that's a major change that's going to open up a lot of opportunities for people. Okay, some of the strategic trends from Gartner, one of the key things relevant is the privacy enhancing computation. There's a whole bunch of privacy enhancing technologies that are in, that are in place in the market. Next slide. So all these privacy technologies, this is the entire ecosystem. This is from Forrester Research, right? So all of them have a key role to play in enhancing the data privacy of consumers. And there has been a huge spike in usage of all these technologies in varying degrees to protect data, right? As part of data protection programs, companies will have to use all of this. So you look at this slide, this talks about the ecosystem of the entire privacy tech industry. So many of them are very unknown, right? So OneTrust is a big player in this, right? And we'll talk more in the data privacy certifications about it. So for each of these categories, you have companies that specialize. Many of them are startups. Again, this slide talks about the ecosystem on regulations and business solutions, both in terms of technology and services and information resources. And all these companies work towards enhancing, giving different products and services about the privacy domain. Yeah, the next slide. So some of the key trends and challenges, there has been a rise of regulations. So what Gartner is predicting is by 2022, 50% of our planet's population will have the personal information covered under local privacy regulations, almost mirroring GDPR. Today, we are facing a very unusual phenomenon called data graveyards. So these are repositories of unused data that companies are collecting in huge quantities. And this is seriously putting in trouble the database utilization. It's becoming a problem in terms of technology handling and also financial burden for companies, right? And there has been a new roles are emerging as more privacy regulations coming in, more opportunities, job opportunities, and career paths, right? And cybersecurity is very closely aligned or intertwined with privacy. So privacy is a basis cybersecurity in terms of the technologies and tooling. So that's going to give a lot of push for this domain to emerge as a viable career option. Next line. And of course, the more fines. I was talking how GDPR has has levied record fines actually. So maybe you can click on the hyperlink that gives us a view on different massive fines that have been levied in the past few years, and the fines are only increasing, right? And I think you have to put it in slide mode. Yeah. So you can see all these big companies, right? So all of them have record fines, the top five, largest fines, and it is only going to get worse, right? Because of data breaches that are become a way of life today. No brand, how big, how innocuous they are, is exempt from any sort of data breaches. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. Yeah, can go back. And also transparency is actually important for businesses. It's becoming a must have. Instead of earlier it was nice to have, right? So customer trust, their attitude towards privacy and transparent behavior will actually make the companies to bring in more focus on these issues. That's a given thing now. The companies are putting in place all these entire governance around data privacy now. Yeah, next slide. Finally, the last 2 points around the trends. One is the third-party risk management. So Article 28 itself talks about it. A lot of obligations are existing that requires contractual protections with data process and sub-processors for ensuring data protection. So your entire ecosystem, your third-party ecosystem also have to take into. I mean, can you go back to the previous slide? Yeah, finally, no talk on privacy or cybersecurity will be complete without talking about talent shortage. And there is going to be a spurt in data privacy roles in India, especially after our Indian Personal Data Protection Bill becomes an act, and which requires all organizations to that collect data which are eligible and which come under the ambit of this act to appoint a DPO, a data privacy officer. Very wrongly, many companies try to club the role with that of a CISO. In fact, in Belgian DPA, actually Data Protection Authority, ruled a case where it said CISO cannot be DPO. You cannot club it. Both have to be independent to ensure independence and objectivity of the role. So that is one key thing. So a lot of opportunities are coming up your way if you are looking at privacy as a career. Yeah. The next slide. So we are coming to the last section of this webinar. It's about privacy certifications if you want to pursue. Next slide. First is please make yourself familiar with the NIST privacy framework, National Institute of Standards and Technology. It's a US body originally formed to create standards for US government and federal agencies, but the content is so good it was adopted very well by the private sector, and now it's become go-to place for any standards. So this privacy framework is very very exhaustive. Please take a look, Google search, and you can actually read through the framework to give you a complete idea. This is important. The next one. Yeah, then 2019, ISO released this new privacy information management system called the number is 27701. So this is a new one, so you can actually specialize in this. Very niche companies are actually looking at getting themselves certified, but gaining mastery or familiarity will not hurt right? So I've just given the link of BSI. They have internal auditor course, which normally is for a day, or implementer course will be for 3 days, or lead auditor could be for 5 days, 4.5 days, followed by half a day of open book exam. Then our own DSCI, Data Security Council of India, they run a few critical certification, DCPP and DCPLA. You can go to their site and check the schedule. And in the pandemic time, even BSI, which gives the ISO lead auditor certification, or DSCI, which runs these courses, they have everything online. There's no, it's very seamless. It's working well, and you can see the hierarchy. It has a very clear path in terms of career growth. It has its own hierarchy and governance structure. So companies, all e-commerce companies also will be looking to have a DPO. Already many companies are doing. And here is a body called EU GDPR Institute. This body again offers online training now. Earlier, they used to do before pandemic in-person training. They have the foundation and substance training, a fast training. That is a one-day training just to give you an orientation on this domain. Then they have a very detailed DPO certification and a certified expert professional. This is for 3 days. DPO is for 5 days. So we can take advantage of this if you are interested. Yeah, next one. This one, IAPP, International Association. CIPP also comes in different flavors for UK, that is GDPR for US and government, so on and so forth. Any two certifications like CIPP and CIPM would, if you clear, you are also eligible to receive the Fellow of Privacy, professional. So they confer that fellowship for people who do two certifications, one CIPP flavor and one CIPM. The next slide. I think we are wrapping up. This is again a new certification that was introduced last year from ISACA. It's a little technical, so want to understand the underlying technologies, you should definitely choose this. The next slide. Yeah, this one is from OneTrust. OneTrust is a product company that primarily works on privacy space, and they provide professional level certification and expert level. And if you do all the 9 expert level modules and 1 professional certification, they'll confer you the fellow of OneTrust privacy technology. It's primarily to promote the next slide. It's primarily to promote their software. So these are the 9 different modules, okay, all mirroring GDPR and other regulations. Very, very interesting. I want to just understand. You can go through this and you can gain your, free fellowship. The best thing is, in all of this is free. I mean, OneTrust certification is free. I think with that, I come to the end of this slide. If you have any questions, you may ask now.
Hello. You can hear me, Ram?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I can see for some reason it's showing us live event has ended. I hope it's still live, right?
Maybe
Can somebody confirm from the admin side? Are we still live? Hello. Hello.
Anyone, Jordan or Manmohan can confirm?
Can we confirm?
Yeah, this one is from OneTrust. OneTrust is a product company that primarily works on privacy space, and I think they are on mute. Professional. You can hear me, right?
Jordan, are you there?
The 9 expert level modules
We can hear you. Okay, it says we can hear you. So let's go back to the this slide. You can see, I hope.
Yeah.
So there are a few questions now. The first question is, can you hear? I'm just still trying to figure out.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Fine. So there are a couple of questions which has come. We are running live on YouTube as well as Facebook. So one of the question is that pre and post COVID, data privacy issues, has it changed or is it all same? Pre and post COVID data privacy issues.
Yeah, in fact, what started in pre-COVID and in the COVID time, since everything is remote, everything is online, the privacy concerns have increased, right? Awareness has increased, customers are also demanding, and companies are also forced to comply with customer demand as well as the government regulations. So definitely it is changing for the
Still less,
better.
no?
Yeah. Next question.
Okay, so the next question is that I think this is not exactly on the privacy, but is it strategy?
Yes,
Information security strategy? Is it part of?
Yes, you're live, Shinu.
Okay, okay. No, I'm just, yeah. So the question is, why is IS strategy is a subset of IS governance? It's not exactly related to data privacy, but this is a question which is coming.
Yes, definitely. Your charter defines your goals and objectives. Under your goals and objectives comes your strategy, how to implement the goals and objectives. Under your strategy comes your governance. You're right. That's a hierarchy.
Okay, okay. The last question we will take is, what exactly is the data privacy objective for a business, also from a personal perspective? So what must be a good stand for an organization as well as on a personal front?
You have to follow privacy by design principle. If you're a business, when you are developing applications and services, build in privacy requirements in the product. That is one. Second, you have to follow the regulations that you are operating under. Right. Third is customer demand. You have to customer requirement. You have to fulfill, and also follow ethics, business ethics, code of conduct in terms of handling privacy. Data, privacy of data. At a personal level, you'll have to use a lot of common sense and ensure that you are not very sloppy with the way you handle private data, personal data, especially limiting personal info in social media, right? So don't go behind the vanity stuff, receiving a lot of likes and comments. How many of us as parents tag the school name of our kids' school? It's a very risky thing. Do you post pictures of kids with the uniform on? Right? I'm just giving an example. So that gives you an idea, right? You get the drift. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, I think while it is so scary, on the other end, there are a lot of opportunities to actually build a career in data privacy. And as Ram mentioned, this is going to be a mandatory requirement for companies to hold a data privacy officer's position. And a lot of you who are looking for getting into this field, we do hope that you will connect with Dr. Ram for further help on this. But an excellent session, Ram. Before we wind up, I am just going to run towards the last end of slide. Just give me a moment. So those who are part of this session, please do look at this program. It not only gives a good understanding on data privacy and the data security part of it, but also an overview on how to secure your organization from a cybersecurity point of view. It's an extremely lab-based simulated program that which we have created, and it gives you multiple reasons to choose this kind of program. So I'm going to fast track this, that we also have a dedicated set of ecosystem which includes a security operations center, which is a state-of-the-art facility here, and cyber range as a simulator where you can actually do this simulation of defending and attacking scenarios based on almost 20 plus scenarios. And the program structure is also interesting. So Ram and veterans like Ram who are part of this delivering this program have been helping. And this is a AICT approved, UGC approved program. So later, if you want to get onto a doctoral studies or go for immigration or whatever be your personal reasons, this is a good program to look at. And multiple partners. So we have incorporated EC Council certifications, multiple cloud certifications into the program, along with other partners which are coming in. And we also have a new program getting launched now, which is called Cloud Architecture and Security. Again, data privacy, data security is going to be part of these programs as well. And with that, we would want to say bye to all of you who have been listening. And if you have any questions, please do connect with us directly. Do connect with Dr. Ram on LinkedIn. He is instant in his response and will be a great, we can help you in building a great network in cybersecurity and information security. So thank you so much, Ram, and thank you everyone for being a very active listeners as well as participants, and looking forward to connect with you further in our future webinars. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Shinu, for the opportunity. It's a pleasure to
Multiple partners, so we have incorporated EC Council certifications, multiple cloud certifications into the program, along with other partners which are coming. And we also have a new program launched now, which is called Cloud Architecture and Security. Again, data privacy, data security is going to be part of these programs as well. And with that, we would want to say bye to all of you who are listening. And if you have any questions, please do connect with us directly. Do connect with Dr. Ram on LinkedIn. He's listed in his response, and will be a great, we can help you in building a great network in cybersecurity and information security. So thank you so much, Ram, and thank you everyone for being a very active listeners as well as participants, and looking forward to connect with you further in our future webinars. Thank you so much.
thank you, Dr. Shinu, for the opportunity. It's a pleasure.
No, they left. That's it. Someone left. Everyone, meeting is in. That's it.
You take, sir. Hey, really? At least no thank you also.
Yeah.